I thought it was asthma starting. The last thing I remember is just hitting the ground and rolling onto my back. No recollection whatsoever what happened when I was basically dead. It's definitely a sport that can bring people together. Just the things that it can teach you and use in life is colossal. It's brilliant. So with East Kilbride in the conference, I think it was maybe only the third or fourth game in. East Kilbride last year actually, I played with Cumnock at the time, and we played East Kilbride in the final with the bowl or the plate, I'm sure. But they beat us. They had a really strong side that year. So for me, when we went back to Cumnock, I was saying to all the boys, like, oh, this is going to be a tough game. We need to really get that together here. We need to play well. But on the day, it was didn't go that way at all, really. For about 10 minutes in, that's when it went downhill for me, especially. I had about six weeks build up to the game, so it was over pre-season, kind of 2 weeks into pre-season, and then the first kind of 3 or 4 conference games, I thought it was asthma starting. I was getting really breathless, only like 5-10 minutes into the match, really fatigued. I would get to a point where I felt like fainting. My head was kind of spinning, blurry vision, just hadn't any kind of senses at all. It was a scrum to East Kilbride, and on my way up for the tackle, going over to the scrum, that's when I started feeling that way again, really lightheaded, dizzy, breathless, head was spinning. The last thing I remember is just hitting the ground and rolling onto my back.
When I went over to Dillon, he was actually, you know, he was speaking, he was engaging in conversation, but he was like, what's the word, like, he looked as if he was hyperventilating. He just looked like a young man had overdone it during the game, and it was within 3 or 4 seconds that completely changed. The full situation became pretty concerning. His breathing went from kind of hyperventilating to basically was struggling to breathe, really struggling to breathe at one stage. At that time, I asked, you know, said to phone the ambulance and that kind of stuff, because obviously the boy was struggling, and there was something unknown to us at that time. And during the course of it, when I was down on the ground with him, he stopped breathing about 2 or 3 times, and about the 3 times I had to administer, help him breathe, so to speak, and bring him back round. And each time he went back to not breathing, I could continue to do it to 2 or 3 times, like I said, and eventually he kind of came round and started coming round, but obviously he was still struggling breathing.
No recollection whatsoever what happened when I was basically dead. Afterwards, I remember coming round a few times, so it took 3 attempts at CPR for one of my coaches for me to actually to bring back a heartbeat and to be conscious again. But I remember the first and second time just kind of coming back round, getting a glimpse of what was going on, and then like keeling over again. And after the third time, I remember the paramedic, there was a paramedic, and he stuck this giant needle in my arm, like honestly, like 4 inches long. It was huge, and I jumped up, and that was me awake again. Like I felt brand new. I didn't feel as if there was anything wrong with me. And then everybody's just kind of calm down, and just relax. We don't know what's happening, kind of thing. And after they said that, that's when I just started panicking. I was, oh my God, am I going to die? Am I going to die? I hated hospital at first, absolutely hated it, because you were seeing so many different people. You would hear one thing for somebody, and then you would hear a different story for somebody else. I remember a nurse coming up and tell me, oh, it'll be okay, you should be out of hospital by the end of the day, it just looks like a wee hiccup. There's nothing wrong here, and then a doctor come up to me, and I remember him saying they did an echo scan, so it's an echocardiogram, just shows the doctors an image of your heart on a screen, and I remember him doing that on me and looking at the screen and telling me my heart looked like a 90-year-old man's heart, so it was like conflicting information I was getting, and I was just so confused and scared as well. After getting home from hospital, I just thought that was everything finished. I didn't have a clue what I was going to do with myself. Job-wise, I was wanting to go to the Marines. Plan B was a fireman, couldn't do any of them. So mental state was definitely, was down in the dumps all the time. I couldn't find joy for anything really. Obviously, not being able to play was the hardest thing for me. And I remember going down to watch just a few of the training sessions for the under-18s team, and just standing at the side knowing you couldn't join in and play was brutal. Like, I'd end up stopping going just to watch the boys training because it was just enough for me.
Like I say, I've known Dillon, he's a very resilient, determined and focused guy, so I had every faith that, you know, Dillon would bounce back for this set up, and which he did, you know, and all credit to him. But I did, you know, obviously it did play in my mind quite a lot, how you know, because he'd a big career in rugby, and I know he'd certain other things in his life he was looking forward to that totally transformed his full life completely. But it's very pleasing that he refocused his attention and went down a different road to the one he was destined to go in, and he's been a great access to this club and to Scottish rugby in my opinion.
It took me probably a good 2.5 months to end up coming back out the house and trying to do some everyday life activities again. And I remember getting a message for Harry Riley, the same guy that got me playing rugby. In the first place, he messaged me asking if I was interested in coaching, and at first I was like, no, I'm no want to kind of get into coaching. I just want to stay in my bedroom and get on with life, kind of thing. And then eventually I said yeah and gave it a shot. Just from there on, it's been absolutely brilliant since. Coaching's really rewarding. What I love most about it is a kid not being able to do something, and knowing that you've taught the kid how to do that thing correctly, and for them to succeed in that, whatever it might be, and maybe as simple as just working the passing technique, all the way to kind of more complex things. So that's definitely the most rewarding thing for me as a coach. Rugby as a sport for anybody. Coming from football, the values and the kind of lifestyles I've adopted from rugby has been crazy. I was a kid that struggled a lot with anger issues and stuff like that, so learning discipline was a big thing for me, and obviously that's massive in rugby. So being in that environment all the time, which I was when I played, as well as coaching, really taught me a lot of life skills that I still use now, out with rugby environments, whether it would be out with my friends or anywhere. So it's definitely a sport that can bring people together, and just the things that that it can teach you and use in life is colossal. It's brilliant.